Hello friends, this is the Cryptonian and we're taking a look at Bitcoin and we're taking a look at the market in general. Bitcoin right now is ruling the market, and so we really need to focus on Bitcoin. And as you know, Bitcoin has had a tumble, and there's been blood in the streets. It's been really, really tough. And so, but I'm going to show you a little bit of a little bit of hopium here, right? So you can see here the purple line is the 25K, 26K area that I was talking about for support. And we did get a bounce off of that. However, it then promptly failed. And then we broke 25K, right? So now the price is actually just a little bit below that at 22.5, 22.6, and we're getting a little bit of support. We're getting a little bit of a reaction here. So why the difference? Why the difference? Well, the 200 weekly moving average, they're actually both 200 weekly moving averages, okay? One is an exponential and one is a simple, right? So the purple is an exponential, and this is the one that I was talking about at 26.8, 26.8, 25K in that area. And one is the simple, which actually brings us a little bit lower. One's a little bit slower, one's a little bit faster, one's more sensitive, one's not as sensitive. And so you can see the difference. And it looks like the market is wanting to respect the simple moving average on the weekly. So when I took a look at the weekly 200 moving average, I was looking at the exponential moving average. And so we can see the differences as we scroll back here. Now, there's a big reaction in the market. You can see over here to the right, we have a lot of buying coming in. Okay, a lot of buying coming in. And we have, look at this, Aave's up 4%, ADA up almost 8%. Algo, not much of a response here. Algo is usually a little bit slower, but there are certain coins that the market is choosing and likes to be buying from this bounce here, which potentially could be a bottom, and we'll discuss that in a moment. ApeCoin almost 9%. Arweave not seeing a lot of almost 2%, maybe 1.5%. Axie Infinity 11%. Huge from this huge pump from this bounce. Cody almost 8%. So you can see the market is choosing certain coins, right? EGLD 11%, Engine 5%, which is mediocre at this point. Look at this, GMT 14%. Now some are just pumpers and will probably not hold these major gains. Cadena 15%, but then other ones are actually most likely going to be some of the leaders, right? PBX 13%. So that being said, VRA 10%. So that being said, you can really see that the market believes that this is a good time to buy, and they're doing so. So let's take a look. Here is the purple level, the 200 weekly on the exponential EMA, and here is the white one, the new one, which is the simple. So, you know, this is very close to a potential bottom, or if not the bottom. When you look historically, look at this. The market has respected this and has bounced from this area before. Now, just like the EMA, there are a couple of deviations, right? Like right here, because of the momentum, we did have a break of that, but then we closed out right at it, and then we moved up from there. Okay, that was back in March 2020. March 2020, and we all know what was going on back then. That was, you know, the start of the pandemic. So we did drop below that, but we didn't stay down below that for very long. Now, this is what really is impressive to me. It's the one before that. The one before that in 2019, we can see, look at this, for 2.5 months, 3 months, the market respected that 200 weekly moving average, right? Exactly. It didn't break it. It just crawled along it for, I don't know, probably 3 months, 2.5, 3 months. So that really says a lot to me, right? So I think we are at a point where, and then when we move back even further, look at this. We can see back in 2015, same thing. We had a little wick below it, and just now we had a little wick below it, and then we were starting to get a reaction there. Here, a little wick below it, we came down, broke it ever so slightly, and then moved up. So, friends, historically, there's a 100% hit rate. Now, there's not very many instances when this occurred because Bitcoin is fairly new, right? But of the 3, 4 incidences, there is a 100% hit rate as this being the bottom. So right now we are seeing a reaction coming off of this simple moving average, the 200 weekly moving average. The market's reacting. You can see to the right how the market has treated this area. Okay, you can see how the market has treated this area. There's a lot of buying in this area. Now remember, Asia has been buying first, and then they've been dumping in the early morning. They've been taking profits in the early morning, and then America, the West, has been purchasing, or excuse me, has been selling, right? So Asia's been buying, the West has been selling, and then late before Asia comes in is usually where we see the bottom of the cycle for the daily cycle, and then that's when, that's when there's a lot of buying right around between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., right? So I'm looking at this as a potential bottom here. Now, we need to be clear, the global economy is different. The stock market is different. We have different macro indicators, right? Macroeconomics right now is much different than it was in years past. I understand that. So we need to be very careful and pay attention here. But I am treating this the same way as what we've seen in the past, because the potential profits and the opportunity is just too good to pass up. Just too good to pass up. So the bad news is that the previous point at 25K did not hold. And remember, I said if 25K does not hold, then it's going to change. We have to establish a strategy. We have to go back to the drawing board, look at this, and reanalyze our strategy, reanalyze the charts. And this is what I've come up with. Okay, so it's just a minor adjustment. And right now, the market, we saw the market in free fall, right? We saw the market in free fall, and there really wasn't much of a reaction at all until now. So this tells me right now, at least temporarily, this is telling me that the market's interested at this point, buying at this point. Now, I'm going to be buying here as well. I bought a little bit before this. As you know, I started scaling in, and because I felt that the bottom was close. And so I believe this is very close to the bottom as well. So I'm going to continue to scale in here. I don't believe that we're gonna be going much farther down unless we have a break in the historical habits of Bitcoin on this chart, and we start doing this. Start going lower. which, okay, that, I don't believe that's going to happen. That's 9K. But at the very most, I think the lowest that I'm hearing other analysts say is like 13K, 13 to 15K, something like that. I think JP Morgan said something like 13K. Well, JP Morgan, they haven't been the most accurate with their predictions either. So, um, I'm trusting myself here. I'm trusting I'm trusting the charts. I'm trusting my research, and so I'm going to be scaling in pretty heavy here. I said I was going to scale in at 25K. I did start scaling at 25K, but I didn't scale in. I didn't scale in all of my resources. I didn't even scale in half of my resources. So I'm going to continue scaling in here, and I'm probably going to have a wait and see attitude because I want to see how this plays out this week. Although I don't want to miss the opportunity of this bounce because I do believe that we're going to get a bounce here. Okay. I mean, look, friends, we've been going down for 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 3 months, right? For like 12 weeks, right? So there's got to be some type of a relief bounce. When you do look at this, there's another reason why I believe that we could be having a bottom here, and that is this huge ABC correction. Here's the A wave down. We have a B, and then we have a C. What I believe is a C. And so, if this is true, then from here we're going to see some sideways action. Because usually after an ABC you see some sideways movement. So what could be happening here is if this is the terminal end of the last C wave, then we could be seeing a bounce here, some consolidation, and then moving higher like so. It's going to take time, okay? So probably going to be a boring summer, probably going to be choppy. It's going to be up and down, and but that's okay. That's pretty much expected after it's pretty much expected during the summer for the stock market, and we've had slow summers in the past. This area here was in the summer. This was in June, okay, and that's when I was calling the bottom at 28.8K, and that's pretty much what happened. We were down here. This is the weekly, so we can't really see it as clear, but we came down to about 29, 28.8, 28.8, 29K. I believe that's where we were at that time, and then we just ran up real hard. Now the question is, after we recover, let's say this is the bottom, and after we recover and start moving higher, how high are we going to go? Are we going to excuse me, are we going to test the all-time high up here at 69K? I would think so, but there are no guarantees. Or are we going to make a higher, or excuse me, are we going to make a lower high and then start rolling over? If that occurs, that's going to be bad news, and we could be in for, something like a very, very tightening range over time, maybe for another year or two. But I'm not saying that's the case now. Okay, it's too early to tell. It's too early to say if that's the case or not. Right now, the first line of business is to determine if this is going to hold or not. And because we've had such forceful selling down into this area, it feels a bit like capitulation. Okay, so I do believe that we're going to find a bounce. We're going to, even if it's a pity bounce, even if it's a dead cat bounce. However, we need to be careful, because if this is not the bottom, if we have a dead cat bounce and then we roll over, that's going to be bad news. And then the proper response to that would be then selling the shorting the market on the way down to wherever it wants to go. But look, we're at 22K. I don't think there's much more downside to go at this point. The high point of the last cycle, oh boy, let's see. I'm not talking about our last high point, but I'm talking about previous highs. Let's see, is here back in 2018. Back in 2018, we were at roughly 20K, 19,220. All right, so we are right above the last peak, right above the last peak. So, when you take a look at this structure, let me see here. Let me take a look. Yeah, and then we went up there. So, yeah, so it makes sense that this would be the bottom, and I'll tell you why. When you were looking at the impulses for this move, we see this is a 1, and then we came down. That's 1, and then the next move would be 3. Okay, and then here's our 3 impulse, 4, 5, that's the 69K top, and then we went into a correction ABC. All right, so the ABC pulls us down. Normally an ABC, the C leg of a correction, brings you right above, right below the previous 3 leg, or excuse me, 4 leg, right here. And that's exactly what happened. But it's above the 1 leg, right? The number 1 peak. And that's where we are here, back here. Okay? So this tells me right here, we're right above that 2018 high. Okay? Do I think we're going to get below it? I don't think so. If we get close to it or below it, I think it's just going to be a wick. I don't think it's going to be much time spent there at all. So, when we're looking at the wave counts, the Elliott wave counts, it makes sense. We completed number 5 here, came down A, B, C, and then what we could expect here is spending some time going sideways into, most likely from here, spending time going sideways before we go higher and start a new. Now this is interesting, friends. This is really interesting. Before we start a new cycle, before we start a new 135 Elliott wave cycle, right? So essentially the first wave is, let me change this a little bit. You go sideways a little bit, and then you go up into a 1 wave, right? That 1 wave, that first wave, usually retraces all the way back down. So the first wave, you're going to want to sell. You're going to want to sell the top of that first wave. Okay? So we're going to go sideways a little bit. Should, if it plays out the way it should, the way I'm seeing on the chart, we're going to go sideways. We're going to go into a 1 wave. The first wave always retraces almost back to where it started. So you're going to want to sell that first wave. And then and then we're going to go sideways a little bit from there, and then it goes up into a 3 wave. And it's that third wave that is massive. It's that third wave that could probably take us to 150, maybe even 200K. And that's the wave that you really want to catch. So the first wave you're going to sell. Ideally, you want to sell all of them, right? But you want to buy the dips, and that would be now. Okay, so this would be the dip on the between the 2 sets of Elliott waves, and then going into the 1, you want to sell the top because it's going to come all the way back to all the way back to where it began or close to it, and then you want to buy those dips again. So those major massive sell-offs you're going to want to buy, reinvest, and take advantage when that third wave, the third wave is the biggest, the highest, the hardest wave, and that's where the most money is made. And then that would be most likely, probably, I need to measure it, but probably around 200K. And if Bitcoin does that, then the rest of the market's going to be just putting in some really amazing, really amazing profit cycles. The altcoins are going to go off the charts. So, but that is somewhat in the future, and we need to be aware that that's not anytime soon. We need to be focusing on what's happening in front of us here, and we need to see where this is going to go in the short term. Okay, we need to see where this is going to go in the short term. We do have historically broken this and wicked back up, so we could spend a little bit of time below this, but historically and statistically, this has shown, even wicking below these two moving averages has shown that this is the bottom. Okay, so this is the best time, in my opinion, to accumulate. This is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you what I see on the charts. I'm going to be dollar cost averaging. I'm going to be scaling in at this time, and I'm going to be doing so heavily. And when things turn around towards the end of the year, maybe next year, then it's going to be very profitable. Now, when I scaled in, the way I made my money in the past is I scaled in when I was first in the market. I scaled in the same way on a big dip, and I scaled in, and I had to wait 8 months, and I scaled in for 8 months until I was profitable because I bought at a high point. But I didn't get discouraged, and I continued to invest, and I turned that around over time with dollar cost averaging is very powerful, right? And let me explain the concept to you. Dollar cost averaging is if you buy here and then it drops, and then you buy here and then it drops, and then you buy here, your average entry is here. Okay? And then over time, if you're buying here, buying here, buying here, no matter where the price is, your average price is going to be right here in the middle. So then when the price does move above that point, you're going to be in profit. So dollar cost averaging the bottom, and I believe we're very close to a bottom, if not at the bottom. Dollar cost averaging this dip, in my opinion, is just smart. Okay, going all in is not advised at this point. Dollar cost averaging over time and using the power of mathematics of averages is the best, in my opinion, is the best way to approach this, because we could be going lower. You know, this could be the first time in the history that we go lower, just because, you know, we have the perfect storm economically. You know, we have a terrible economics, terrible supply chain issues. You know, let's be honest, a lot of people don't have disposable income like they had in the past to be able to invest as much now as they did in the past. So there's a lot of factors, but when it does turn around, I do believe that it will be very profitable. So there you go, friends. I don't want to make it too long. I don't want to make the video too long, but we are having a nice reaction in the market, and you can see the altcoins are putting in, several altcoins are putting in some double-digit gains. 13%, 10%, 12%, 11%. Thank you, friends. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your viewership. And I'm excited because during the bottom, during the downtrends, during the bear market is where the real money's made. When you stay focused, when you dollar cost average, when you take advantage of the time afforded you, taking advantage of the time where the price is suppressed, grinding out the bottom, when the market turns around, you do very well. It's very, very profitable. And I'm speaking from experience. So, again, not financial advice. Thank you, friends, for watching. We'll see you next time.